Again, it's so good to see each and every one of you today. We are in John chapter 8, and so with that said, I would love for you to stand with me. We're just going to look at 3 verses today that kind of piggyback the holiday weekend, and I hope that for some of you today, this would be, yes, a good reminder, but for some of you, maybe brand new and something that you're going to find so beautiful and overwhelming that you can't help but say yes. Okay, here we are, John chapter 8, 34 through 36. Give a good energy with me if you would. Jesus replied, "Very truly I tell you, everyone who sins is a slave to sin. Now a slave has no permanent place in the family, but a son belongs to it forever. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed." Verse 36, one more time, but a little bit louder. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. God bless you. You may be seated this morning. The great prophet Webster defined emancipation as the act of being set free, attaining freedom, gaining freedom. What we know as Bible students is that some 2,000 years ago, Jesus, the undisputed Son of the living God, made the Emancipation Declaration. Not to be confused with the Emancipation Proclamation from 1863. Those of you who somehow survived American history or love history like I do, we know that that statement, that document, applied to a group of enslaved people in the Confederate States, a hard-fought document that specifically identifies an oppressed people. However, Jesus's declaration is something different. It wasn't just for a small group of, yes, clearly oppressed people in the southern states, but his document, his declaration was for an oppressed population that literally encompasses the entire planet. Everybody ever born, everybody alive right now, everybody still yet to be born. And today I want to remind you that that includes you, and that includes everybody that you know. The gospel is a declaration. You know, we use that word a lot around here. We sing about the gospel. We know that that's a big deal, right? I mean, that's a huge deal on a Sunday morning. It needs to be a 24/7 thing, but we know that the gospel it's a declaration. Now, a declaration, by definition, is a statement that is about something that's already happened. It's not about if you do this, and you do this, and then you do this, and if you're really good at this, and you're in this kind of light, and if you're really, really good at it, and God is really happy with you, then you get, at the end of life, you get the cookie. It's not that. It's not a if you will, then he will. But a declaration is a statement of something that has clearly already happened. It's, again, not something that somehow is an enticement or somehow a carrot out before the horse, but it is about something that has historically founded. The gospel not only is a declaration, but the gospel is good news. It's good news. It's better than good news. The gospel is absolutely great news. Why? Because it is an emancipation declaration. It is an emancipation declaration. It's about gaining freedom because of something that has already been done. And that's pretty important. However, in order for it to be good news, there has to be the presence, the reality of bad news. We've talked about that before. We have to understand in the contrast of dark news that there is good news. See, I can say the gospel is a declaration. I can say that the gospel is good news, but until we funnel it down and we look in the mirror and we make it personal, it really is not going to blow your hair back. And some of you don't have much hair to blow back. So I always share the story when I was engaged, got engaged to Michelle. I remember going and asking for doodad's permission. And I think they were all in on it somehow. But I drove to the house, and Michelle had this little red car, and Doodad was already home from work, or maybe you were working the night shift back then, Doodad. And I said, hey, Doodad, there's something with Michelle's car. You want to come look at it with me? And so here's her car literally parked in the front yard in front of a huge window, and they're all inside. And so we're looking in, and I'm toying with the car. First of all, that's a joke, because you know mechanically how very sound I am. And so I'm kind of reaching in, and I'm kind of talking to Doodad, and hey, so anyway, there's nothing wrong with the car. I really love your daughter, and so it was cool. And I think they were probably watching inside. And then I went and I got the ring. And the ring, when they brought it out, I knew the kind of where she wanted to go with her ring. And when they took the ring out of the case, they didn't just put it right there on top of the glass cabinet. Instead, they got out this dark felt square, and like, wow, it shines. Look at how it shines in contrast to the darkness behind it, right? Smart thinking, great salesmanship. But I also think sometimes, unless we really recognize the darkness behind the gift, the beautiful diamond, the priceless treasure of the good news of Jesus Christ, then we really don't get it. We don't get excited about it. We know things about it, but we don't literally celebrate it with the degree in which it needs to be personalized and celebrated, because, again, it is an emancipation declaration that we gain freedom by something that has already happened. But I first have to, I have to take a swallow, and it's bitter, of the bad news. The bad news is I'm enslaved. I'm enslaved. Don't look at me so religious, so are you. It's how we come into the world. We come into the world as enslaved people. And I don't like to admit that. Honestly, just lifting the hood up on my life instead of Michelle's old car, but lifting the hood on my life, and I don't want to admit that to you. Pastor Steve is enslaved to something. I had to admit this to somebody the other day, and I didn't like it. I still don't like it. I kind of shudder a little bit. One of the first things I do when I wake up in the morning is immediately look for coffee. Thank you for nodding. Thank you. You're the honest ones. You're the honest ones here, It's a value of mine, okay? There's other things, but that is right there at the top of my priority list is where's caffeine? Where's caffeine? And there's been a couple of situations, especially when we've done some international traveling or something, where I haven't had caffeine in my bloodstream for 24, 36 hours, and I start feeling a little headachy. Okay, now you're being real. How many real people came to church today? All right. I don't like that. I don't like knowing that. I don't like knowing that somehow I need to have a certain chemical in order to kind of feel like me. That somehow I don't want to use the word, enslaved to it. That feels gross. Listen, that's minor. Not that I'm dispelling it or minimizing it, but that's minor compared to what we're talking about today. Is that all of us are enslaved to sin. Sin. A secularist typically uses it metaphorically. It's a sin to waste that food, Tony. By the way, it's so cool seeing you, Tony, man. Tony got baptized last week, man. God bless you, bro. Thank you, Jesus. To a Hindu or to a Buddhist, it aligns with this whole concept of karma, right? Do good, get good back. Do bad, get bad back. In Judaism, it's the violation of any of the 613 Torah commandments. And in Islam, it's disobedience to Allah's mandates. But in Christianity, it's different. It's sin at its essence is an inherited sinful state that we're born into. It's the gift that Adam and Eve left for all of us. That we come into the world broken. We come into the world fractured. Our nature craves it. When we come into the world, we're immediately wanting. We're immediately wanting, and we're self-interested and self-consumed, right? Anybody who have a newborn around them, right? The baby wakes up in the middle of the night and they're wet, okay? Man, I know my mom hasn't slept in a while. I think I'll let her sleep until at least 7 in the morning before I start crying to get a diaper change. No, we want satisfaction immediately. We want our needs met. We come into the world needy. We come into the world consumed with self. And this is part of that whole broken nature thing. Again, it's a sin state. It's a corrupted, it's a broken nature. And out of that nature comes lawlessness, and it comes ungodly actions, thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors, reprobate and not redeemed. The Apostle Paul states in Romans 3:23 that we're all corrupted. Some of you are saying, Steve, man, I put on my Sunday best today and drove here, and it's holiday weekend, and I don't want to hear this about me. Share something happy, clappy, confectionize it, roll it around in egg yolk and flour and deep fry it for me. I think I just described the recipe for a beignet, by the way. I'm not absolutely sure. You can check on it, those of you who know these things are from New Orleans, but we've all been corrupted. Each of us have a virus in our hard drive. Oh, this heavy sin talk. Let's lighten it a little bit. How was your 4th of July? Was it good? Was it good? How many of you still in the working field, you had it off as a national holiday on Friday? How many? Several. You can raise your hand. Yeah, it's not. I'm not. Yeah, it's not a salvation question. Yeah, you were off on Friday. Good for you. Good for you. Hey, that's great. That's great. How many of you were able to sleep in a little bit later on Friday? Real people. Yeah, real people like to sleep in later when they can. How many of you wore something patriotic? My mother-in-law it is her favorite holiday. It ranks like Family Feud, ding, ding, ding. It ranks above Christmas with Jill, with May. And she is always made up. I mean, she's got everything red, white, and blue. How many of you put something on? You wore something America, something with an eagle and a wolf or something. And yeah, you wore something a little bit like that. How many of you grilled? Hey, right on. Appreciate that. How many of you went to a pool or a beach? This is the poor crowd. Anyway, yeah. How many of you watched something patriotic? How many of you were just glad to get a little? How many of you did fireworks? Diane, you did fireworks? Did you? Okay. Did you do the sparkler? I'm just talking to Diane right now. You guys can just kind of, you did a sparkle? You did the da-da-da-da, you did that? Good for you, Diane. Good. God bless Diane, right? No matter what you did on Friday, the holiday was about freedom, right? The holiday is about freedom, and we as Americans, we know a lot about freedom. We know, first of all, that freedom ain't free. It's not free. And you know what? We like to stand on our freedoms. We like to talk about our freedoms. We don't like it when anybody nudges us off of standing on our freedoms. We like our freedom of choice. We like our freedom, our freedom of speech. We like to do life as we please, the pursuit of happiness. However, our text this morning, these 3 verses out of John, remind us that real freedom, the kind of freedom that Jesus talks about, real freedom isn't just about doing whatever you want. But real freedom, according to Jesus, and I'm assuming that's why you're in church, is because we're interested in what Jesus said about the matter, but that real freedom isn't just what you want to do, but instead that true freedom is freedom from sin. It's emancipation. It's emancipation. It's a severing us from sin. It's dealing with the root of the matter. So often we think, you know what we deal with and what we're trying to deal with is the symptom of the matter. But the real heart of the matter, the epicenter of the problem that we have, the enslavement thing that John's talking about, Jesus is talking about, that is a nature thing. It's deeper than that. And so oftentimes we're spending so much time trying to deal with the symptoms, and we're not really dealing with the illness. But we find that real freedom, Jesus said, man, is dealing with all of it. It is this freedom. It is this liberation from sin. So let's look at these verses a little bit more specifically. Verse 34, everyone who sins is a slave to sin. Again, we don't like that word. It denotes a very, very sad and regrettable time in American history. But what does he mean by that? It has a dominating control. Sin has a dominating control. Some of us are dealing with temptations to sin that we've been dealing with. We can't remember when we weren't dealing with them. And we're still, to some extent, we're still dealing with those things. And so there is a dominance. There is a power that is in play with that. What do we know? Is that sin promises freedom, but only shackles us. It always promises freedom. You know what? Yeah, I'm an American. I'm free. I'm over 21. I can go do whatever I want. You know what? You're right. In the eyes of the law, most likely you can. However, when Jesus talks about freedom, it's not in that same kind of context. And oftentimes it's the things that we feel free to do that are the things that actually enslave us. Earlier this week, I was reading about one of the most elusive animals that God has ever created. You know what it is? If anybody says right now the ringtail monkey, guess what? You get to preach the rest of the sermon. That'd be amazing if you knew that. But it's the ringtail monkey of Africa. And they're very, very hard. They're very, very hard to catch. And so the Africans who live there, specifically those of the Zulu tribe, have learned what this thing likes and how to get it. What do they like? Just like all of us. Melons, melon seeds. And so what they do is they take the melons that are yummy, they put a little bit of hole in the side of the melon, the monkey comes along inevitably, he puts his hand easily in, he grabs as many seeds as he can. And as he has that fist and refuses to relent, guess what? The fist doesn't fit back through the hole. And so for hours he will struggle with it. And those of the Zulu tribe can just come along and just scoop them up. To be pets, I'm sure. Anyway, right? Now, we're not ringtail monkeys here, but the truth of the matter is that somehow there's a parallel with that, isn't there? Is that it looks so good, and I want as much of it as I can, and guess what? I'm entitled to it as much as anybody else, and I'm going to grab the gusto. Eat and drink today because tomorrow I die. I'm going to grab as many sinful melon seeds as I can. Why? Because I deserve it. And guess what? It's a trap. It's a trap, and the enemy uses it against us. And so here we find that sin, it promises. It promises freedom and better, but it only shackles us. How about verse 35? Now a slave has no permanent place in the family, but a son belongs to it forever. In the ancient world, a slave, a household slave, was very, very important. It's a very different culture back then in the ancient world, and it's kind of different for us to wrap our minds around nowadays. But a slave was just temporary help. We know according to the law, every 7 years a slave could be set free. Every 50 years in the year of Jubilee, all the slaves, household slaves, got to be free. But the reality of the matter is that they weren't a family member. They served the family table. They didn't have a chair at the family table. And so therefore here, Jesus is saying through John's writing through the Holy Spirit. He said, man, in ancient days, a slave had no permanent place in the family, but his son. His son is family. A son has rights. A son has identity. A son has positive and optimistic inheritance. A son has a future. Big difference. One's a slave, temporarily, just kind of going through the motions because they have to. And one is a beloved member of the family. There's a couple things I think we can learn from that. First of all is that sin separates you from God's household. Sin isolates us. Sin isolates us. It pulls us away. And guess what? It will pull you away. Well, it's just a little sin. All sin is egregious to a pure and a holy God in whom there is no darkness. All of it. Well, it's just a little peeve. It's just a little something that I do. Everybody does it. Gosh, to a holy God, it's egregious. It separates us. Even what we try to justify, it slowly takes us away. It takes us away from the Father. It builds a wall between us. And guess what? It pulls us away from each other. We're to be engaged in each other's lives, loving each other, praying for each other. Paul lists 27 one another's in the New Testament. We're to be involved in each other's lives, and yet it pulls us from God's household. And second of all, God doesn't want slaves. God wants children. God wants children. God's inviting us to a place at his table. And that's a beautiful and an unmerited, gracious, merciful invitation. Verse 36, so if the Son sets you free, you'll be free indeed. I love that part. Why? Because that's the Emancipation Declaration. When the Son sets you free, what are you saying, Jesus? That true freedom only comes through Christ. True freedom only comes through Christ. He doesn't just forgive us. That's huge. Don't minimize that. He not only forgives us, but he frees us. He saws off the chains. He separates us from the power of lawlessness. He does a deep level fixing in our life. He gives us a new identity. He gives us a new heart. He gives us a new beginning. Not some quick little fix, not some little makeover. No, he makes us new. He does all things right, and he does all things new. He gets down to the nature problem that you and I have. And so, we're free indeed through Jesus Christ. Not just free, but free indeed. Free indeed from what, Steve? First of all, from the power and the penalty of sin. From the power and the penalty of sin. I love Romans 6:14. It says, for sin shall no longer be your master, because you're not under the law, but under grace. I love that so much. That there is a power involved with sin. And guess what? There is a penalty. God is a just God. But guess what? We are free from that. How about this? Free from fear and condemnation. It means we have a new confidence. That means we live with a new boldness. Not arrogance, but a boldness that we now can have through Jesus Christ and his righteousness. So no fear of condemnation. How about thirdly, free indeed from joyless legalism. Man, there's no fun in legalism. There's no fun in that. And sometimes we just slip and we drift into that. Guys, admittedly, I was raised in it. I was raised in a faction of faith where if you did this right, and you did this right, and you didn't do this, and you did this, but you don't do that, and you do this, I was raised that way. And after a while, it was like, what can I do? What can I do? I'm supposed to be free, and it's all about the thou shalt nots in my life. There's no joy in it. There's no joy. Those of you who've been in my membership class, I always share a little bit about my testimony. I share a little bit about my philosophy of ministry. And one is, and it's a huge thing because it rocked my life, is do versus done. Do versus done. See, when it's legalism, it's all on you. It's all about you being good enough. It's all about you doing the right thing. It's about you doing what's right. It's all about you. Pressure's on you. And here's the problem with that. At the end of the day, all you do is rewind the tape and say, I don't think I did enough. I could have done that better. Why did I should have done that better. It's all about, oh my gosh, the pressure of that. And then somebody, it was in this church a long time ago when I had dark hair. Somebody got up here and made the comment, do you have a relationship with God? And it was about something he already did. It was a declaration of what Jesus already did. And it's like, whoa, it's not all about me doing everything perfectly, legally, right, rigid, and perfect. When I recognize it's not, Steve, about what you do, but it's about what Jesus has already done, that I experience joy in my life. Now it's a proclamation. He already did it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't. I wasn't good enough to die for the sins of mankind. But he was. And that's the good news. That's the good news. It frees us from that joyless legalism. How about to love and to serve? See, when I'm free to think about my relationship with God and where I stand in him, and I know my identity in him through Jesus Christ, guess what? I can take my mind off of me, my thoughts off of me, and guess what? Put it on you. Put it on other people around me. See, to love them and to serve them. But you know what? As long as I am continuing to not live in that freedom, not receive that freedom, guess who I'm always thinking about? Me. I want to be served. I want you to serve me. I want you to act the right way. I want you to do the things I want you to do. I want life to be exactly how I want it to be. Boy, that sounds like you want to be God. Yeah. Yeah. So we're free. We're free to look outside of ourselves and see the love of Jesus and to live for him and to live lives that are gracious and open-handed, moving, touching, helping, which leads to the last thing. Free indeed to free others. Free indeed to free others. Living every day, recognizing, man, there's so many people around me who are not free. How do I live with myself when I know where liberation comes? When I know the Emancipation Declaration and that person who I love and I laugh with and I share a softball roster with, when I know they are absolutely enslaved. See, when we're free, we can turn around and we can free other people around us. And that, again, comes with a confidence, not an arrogance, but a confidence. I've told you about my maternal grandparents, who I loved so, so deeply. And even in their golden years, it's a nice way to put it, I'd ask them, Grandma, Grandpa, do you know you're going to heaven? They both would just give me the same answer. Oh, I hope so, Stephen. Called me Stephen. I hope so. That burdened me. Like, yeah, I get it. I hope so. But is that really what we're basing our faith on? Is crossed fingers? Or does God want you to know, I've got you. You're free indeed. You're my kid. How in the world do I go out and preach the good news if I'm not sure the good news is happening in my life? Friends, I think we can have a confidence in being free indeed, and that we can look around us and we can see so many people who are entrapped. My brother Joe quoted Galatians 5 and verse 1, for it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. He has set us free. He has set us free. It's done. It happened. It's a declaration, and boy, it's a great declaration. And that's the reason he came, and that's the reason he suffered, is that you and I could be free indeed. And he did it perfectly. And he did it so perfectly that 3 days later, when it seemed like all hope was gone, and the disciples had locked the doors behind them, 3 days later, God the Father raised him from the dead. And the resurrection of Jesus Christ is the stamp of God's approval on his ministry, on everything he did, and everything that he said, and everything that he promised, including, I'm coming back. How amazing. How amazing that we can be free, which leads to my question, which I end with, is, are you walking in the spiritual emancipation Jesus paid to give you? Are you walking in it? Are you walking in that freedom? Are you free indeed? Do you know it? Are you exercising it? Are you practicing it? There might be somebody here today and say, you know what, Steve, we did the whole freedom thing when you were still in diapers. I get it. I get it. And if that's you today, and it's like, man, check that box. Praise God. But my follow-up question would be, are you intentionally trying to free other people right now? Are you trying to free other people? Because there's a lot of people around us that are enslaved. And that needs to break our hearts. It caused the Son of God to leave the adulation of heavenly hosts and step over the precipice of eternity onto this blue people planet and lay down his life and die the most prolonged, excruciating death ever birthed in the fallen mind of man, because he just couldn't stand by and watch people enslaved to hopelessness and damnation. See, love makes you do something. How do you see the people around you who don't know Jesus? I pray it breaks your heart like it breaks mine. And we've got the answers. We're holding the keys. We're holding the keys. We know how this whole thing ends. And we have the keys. Through his power, you can be free today. And that's the best news I can give you. That's the best news I can give you. And so why? Why stay one day longer in a dark prison cell when you can walk unbound in the light of freedom? Today you can have that. Today you can have that. But what do I have to do, Steve? Do I have to book a flight to Jerusalem? You know, it's kind of tense over there right now. Do I have to go to somewhere? Do I have to walk around something? Do I have to go to a holy place? Do I have to go to Jesus' tomb? Don't waste your time. It's ain't nothing in it. I've been there many times. You can be free indeed today. I pray you will be. God's looking for kids. He's not looking for slaves. He wants kids. Oh man, I got to clean up my act first. Please don't take the time or the effort, because that's just futile. You know what? I'm going to get serious about this whole Jesus thing. Man, when I clean up my act, first of all, you were never made to clean up your act. Second of all, you can't clean up your act. We're still praying about the same things we've been praying about. We're still dealing with the same shackles we've been dealing with from our teenage years. You can't clean up your act first. But only Jesus can emancipate you. And I pray that you would let him do that, whatever it is. I'm going to ask my friends to come up who are always willing to pray, if you're able. You're able to come up, and we'd love to pray for you. We'd love to pray for you. Last Sunday, as we just woohooed about Tony came forward, and he gave his life to Jesus. And I said, "You ready to get baptized?" He said, his eyes kind of got big. He said, I'm not sure. I wasn't ready for that." I'm like, "Man, we got robes and towels and all kinds of stuff." He said, "Yeah, let's go do that." Maybe there's somebody here today and you've never taken that step. It's an important step, guys. It's important. Maybe you're looking for a home church. Stay out over a little bit. Hang out with me for a little bit. We'll just talk about it. Ask your questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll just make something up. No, I won't. So don't get so serious. Not all of us are living in freedom, and we need to. We need to.